Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Season 21 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and the band's all here for tonight's opening round. Joining me in the commentary booth is Larry McLeod, and of course, we've got Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski bringing you all the best camera angles and action from the virtual production truck. We want to thank, of course, Apex Racing TV for being with us for another season. So Season 20 saw our MX-5 racers attack some of the most challenging tracks the world has on offer, whether it be the extreme elevation changes at Bathurst's Mount Panorama or the never-ending roller coaster that is the Scottish Bull Ring at Knock Hill. And to kick this new season off, we head to Central Florida and the former U.S. Army airfield known originally as a training ground for B-17 Flying Fortresses and their pilots during World War II. But for the last 70 years, this facility, this track, has been doing its best to rattle teeth loose and also rattle every last nut and bolt on your race car away from that chassis. And so for 60 minutes tonight, some of the best MX-5 racers from around the country and around the world will battle not only each other, but the always jarring concrete of historic Sebring International Raceway. So good evening, Larry, and welcome to Season 21.
I am super excited as always, and especially tonight because we had such a great season last year. I think I'm looking forward to topping that, and really what a better place to start than you talk about all the elevation changes and some of the tracks we've run. We go to one with essentially zero elevation at zero sea level, and that is Sebring. But it always creates great racing. So I'm excited about that. It's a great place to kick off another season here in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series.
Yeah, it's amazing how a bunch of concrete that hasn't been touched for the most part in 70 years, and there have been some small changes to this circuit over time. The hairpin at turn 7 probably being the most notable, but this track, as you mentioned, it's iconic. It has barely changed, and it is always a challenge for the drivers, not only to find the best way around, the fastest way around, and to be able to track what their competitors are doing, but in the fight against the elements in the track itself. So let's do this, Larry. Rather than talk and wax philosophical about Sebring, why don't we start a little bit early? Let's turn things over to Kevin Ford. He's going to give us tonight's track guide of Sebring International Raceway.
Welcome, everyone, to Sebring International Raceway. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this iconic road course that dates all the way back to 1950. There is certainly something special about this course with its bumpy variety of track surfaces and technical corners. This place is a challenge for drivers even on their best day. Well, let's begin our lap around this 3 3/4 mile road course. As we head up the front straightaway, you'll notice our pit area to the right, all the campers to the left. As we cross the stripe, we'll get up some good speed here as we head down into turn 1. Very fast sweeping left-hander here, very wide corner as well. Pit exit is just to our right there. Drivers will be very weary of cars coming out of the pits here as they move on through their event. Down through turn 2 here, a slight right, now into turn 3. It's a very difficult corner to find that apex, right down to the bottom, right back to the right through 3. Then we'll come right up through turn 4 and out of 5. And then we will approach turn 6 here as we head out onto the little short chute that'll bring us to the hairpin here at Sebring. Turn 7, the infamous hairpin. Very tight section. You will see overtaking down into the entry of this corner. Heavy braking down into first gear as we get through the apex, come right back up through the gears, and back out onto the next little short straightaway. Bit of a right and left-hander here as we come through 8 and 9. And approach our next right-hander, which is a very heavy brake zone and very tight here as we come down into Cunningham, making that right-hander through 10, now back through 11, up through the gears through 12. And then we'll approach Tower Corner, turn 13, leave it in third gear for this corner, take a little bit of curb on the bottom there. And then up through another very fast section here at Sebring. Double left-handers. So take us through 14, through Bishop. Then we'll get into the S's here of Le Mans. Slight right-hander, back to the left. And then we're going to roll here. Look for that center, come right back to throttle and get a good launch up onto this backstretch. Coming out of Le Mans, we'll pick up some great speed here. Of course, this is a big overtaking opportunity here on Ullman Straight. Overtaking down here into the final corner is very popular for drivers, but it is a doozy. As you can see, it's very bumpy through this section of the course. Getting a good run off of this turn here is very important, as this is going to take us to the start-finish line here. There you go. There's your track guide for beautiful Sebring International Raceway. Thank you for being with us.
And thank you very much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Sebring International Raceway. And Larry, you know, if you listen to Kevin there, as he was making his way through turn 3 and through the S's there at 4, 5, and 6, as much as he made this lap look easy, he was breathing pretty hard there. It looked like he was definitely having to work that MX-5 around to keep it on course, or at least for that small section of the track.
I don't want to make any comments about Kevin's physical shape these days, but this is a workout of a track, certainly in real life, and I think even in the sim, you definitely get your money's worth for your gym membership known as Sebring, because this place it's full of bumps. It's got a lot of that opening S's section that's all about that rhythm and that timing, and it can kind of wear down on you. So I think tonight some of these drivers are going to have to really focus in on hitting their marks and staying in that rhythm, because once you get out of it, you start missing apexes, you start hitting grass, which usually leads to hitting walls, which
hitting
Kevin
concrete,
didn't do in his lap. But I'm sure in his practice laps or take 1, take 2, maybe he might have tapped a wall. But there's a lot of walls around here that folks can hit, and I think it's especially in the bottleneck sections going down through the turns, from turn 2 on into the first opening section. It's a very big challenge for some of these drivers, especially in that opening lap, and we'll see who's got the patience tonight.
That's right. So we've got our drivers. They're heading out for qualifying right now, and on board, you can see here, we're with Mike Dam from Orion Racing. We'll talk a little bit about Mike here in just a second. But as we always do here in the Classic Sprint Series, 15 minutes of qualifying and what we call lone qualifying. The drivers, as far as they know, they've got the track all to themselves. They will have up to 4 flying laps in order to set a fast time and set the grid for tonight's race. And as we are now watching, we've got on board here John Allen in the number 101 Seamless Racing entry, and we hopefully will have John here in the commentary booth before tonight's race. John is our Season 20 Pro Category champion. Mike Dam, who we had just a few moments ago on board from Orion Racing, finished in second, and Brennan Horn, coming off of his Season 19 AM category championship, finished third in the points in the Pro category last season. There's Brennan working on his outlap right now. And if we talk about our AM category, Dean Dibdahl from ZP Motorsports was our Season 20 champion. Eugene Weber from Weber Racing came home second in the points. And then Greg Brockway with Team Esport Racer took home the third spot in the championship there. There's Mr. Brockway in the number 62 machine. Now representing, looks like Slicks Racing as opposed to Team Esport Racer. We've had a couple of folks jumping around and moving from team to team in the off season, and we'll definitely cover that. I think Brendan Horn, another one of those drivers who has changed his affiliation over the last couple of weeks. But Larry here, it seems like it was only 2 weeks ago. And I think it was only 2 weeks ago that we were at Watkins Glen for the final round of Season 20, and it was a real great battle there, as well as we always see here in the Classic Sprint Series. These MX-5s, they are so closely matched. They're very compliant, they're very neutral, and makes for some great racing.
Yeah, a lot of our viewers, when they see Sebring, of course, they're used to seeing the prototypes, the GT cars doing the 12-hour race here, running under the darkness and all, and big, fast, lots of horsepower. What's interesting here with the MX-5s is they are not, obviously, they are 180-ish, somewhere around that horsepower, very low horsepower, all about momentum. But these things race fantastic around here. Those of us, sometimes they slide into walls, but they definitely race very well and create a good matchup. It's good opportunities, a lot of opportunities to pass around here, and a lot of opportunities to go side by side, whether it be through these ESs here, or whether it be through the Sunset Bend down 17, or even down in through 1 and turns 2. You're going to see a lot of it. I think that's really what enhances the racing here, a lot like what we maybe have seen at the end of last season at Watkins Glen. Similar sort of flavor and feel when it comes to big, wide, sweeping type of corners that allow these low horsepower momentum cars to go side by side everywhere and create some great opportunities for us to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly, Larry. I mean, probably the major difference you're going to find between here and Watkins Glen, I mean, at Sebring, it's very much choose your own adventure, especially over turn 17, the very last corner, the Sunset Bend, where there are multitudes of lines and ways to navigate that corner, that particular corner. Whereas, of course, Watkins Glen, a lot of camber to the track, a lot of very well-defined grooves into corners that if you use those, you can carry speed. If you don't carry them, you don't. But as you mentioned here at Sebring, it's very wide and it's very flat. And so it gives you a lot of opportunity. You see here, for example, as we were watching Travis Schwenke come through turn 1 and into down towards turn 3, that turn 1 area just opens up, seemingly 6-7 cars wide, and then it closes up to about 2.5-3 cars wide. But a lot of different opportunities for you to carry speed in many different ways, and also again to, as you watch to see what your competitor is doing on track, to design some counter moves, I guess, maybe the best way to put it there as a race goes on. So let's do this, Larry. We are now just about halfway through this qualifying session, and wanted to quickly break down for our listeners how they can tell the difference between our two different categories. We've got our pro drivers and we've got our AM drivers here. And in the pro category, what you'll see is drivers that they have red mirrors, the red number boards. And then as we see here, as we look at the number 3 of Robert Hartley, and then with our AM category cars, you'll see green mirrors, green number boards, as we have here with the number 62 of Greg Brockway. If you look at our timing tower, a little confusing, but the black the cars with black positions on them, those are our pro category drivers. The AM category have the red positions on them. But I'm getting word right now, Larry, that John Allen, he's stepped out of qualifying and gotten out of the car kind of early. He's sitting in the green room right now. Why don't we bring in our season 20 pro champion, John Allen?
Hey, John. Good evening, and welcome to Sebring.
Hey guys, good to have another season. It got here quick, but thank you.
It definitely got here quick, which means you didn't have a lot of time to celebrate. You got to come right back out here, and now you get to defend. How much do you feel that target on your back going into this new season here?
It's been a while, but yeah, I miss that feeling. I like being chased, but it's daunting. There's some fast shoes in this group.
Yeah, so, coming into last season, I think maybe you were just part of that mix. This season, you've got the target, but as you say, you got folks, the typical groups of Hartley and some of the others out here. But, I know you got guys like Josh Soto, who seems to have stepped up from the AM into the pro, had some really good races last year. Are there anybody else that you think is a threat, or you want, talk a little more in depth about some of those other threats, of those other competitors you'll be running with?
Well, I know that how hungry Mike is, as good as he's run. I don't know when he's gotten a championship in the Mazda. He's brought it on a bunch of other cars. Travis is real hungry, and they work together so well to build setups that they both like. So teamwork's going to come into play a little bit, I think, more than usual. And they have the trifecta with Robert too. So I've got Nathan in for a full season this season. So hopefully he and I can fight back a little bit there. And you have to keep an eye on him. You saw how hard he showed up as a newbie mid-season last go round.
Yeah, definitely is going to be another one to kind of watch for that we haven't seen in the standings because it was that mid-season ad, but we'll see if he can kind of jump up here running a full season with us. Tell me a little bit about your out of sim, your real track stuff. We know that you mentioned you've been doing a lot of coaching and working with some young drivers. Give me some of that experience, some of that feedback of doing that and what that's brought you.
Well, the nice thing about coaching and instruction at any level is you're never just exclusively doing that. It's an opportunity to learn yourself. So I'm doing more of that as a result, maybe indirectly, of coaching. And I mentioned Nathan earlier, so we were at Mid-Ohio a couple weeks ago, and he just got his first NASA Spec Miata win there, which is a big moment for him. So there's some other guys in this field who have some real world stuff going on as well. And this is, as always, a great way to practice for it without the risk and learn a lot about what you need to take to the real track.
I just want our viewers to know that what they're seeing on the screen is not a replay. This is John just out there qualifying while chatting with us. How much concentration, or I guess is this one of those tracks where it's moments of concentration, but the rest of the track just sort of flows naturally?
As I destroy these cones, try to get that final run. It's this more than most. I think any little bit of break in concentration is detrimental because it's so bumpy. And even though you think you're on the same line as you were, like down to the pixel last time around, it just doesn't work out that way. You have to really be prepared to react to the jouncing. And so that's getting dialed in, hopefully not losing sound like I did at the season finale at Road Atlanta last season. Is things like that would be avoided. Would be nice.
Yeah, avoid the sound issues and avoid hitting the pit walls and things like that.
Yeah. So
it's fun to knock on the champion in those areas.
Yeah, that's right. That happened too. Thank you. Travis commented after the fact that I had maybe the fastest pit stop time in that race, but I had to pull some body panels to do it, so I don't know if it's worth the trade-off.
Probably not. But tonight in the 1 hour format, there will be a pit stop. So hopefully you've practiced your pit in here at Sebring. It's one of those you kind of have to plan ahead for it deals and plan those bumps, as we all know are right there around that Sunset Bend. So tonight, qualifying positions probably aren't too crucial. Probably more about just being in that front mix and avoiding the mayhem on that opening start. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. Do you have is this one of those nights where you come in with a strategy, or is this a night where you just kind of go, I'll pit when I think I can?
I think till I get in the rhythm of the season, it's easy to overthink. I love my goofy pitch strategies, but tonight I think I just want to keep the nose clean and see post pit stop, where I am in relation to the front pack and how big that pack is before mixing it up and bringing it back to the field.
Yeah. As you head up to the S's here, are you ahead or behind of your best lap?
I am right about on it at the moment. We'll see if it works out.
I've never had somebody actually live in the car doing commentary like this during their qualifying run, so I won't bother you too much. But it is fascinating that able to kind of hold that conversation to a point, be running pretty much on, which it's helpful in a car like the Miata that you have obviously got more experience than probably than all the others.
Definitely, yeah. I'm enjoying trying more stuff, both in sim and reality. But this is the old standard for me. Really, never get tired of it.
Yeah, it's one of those cars to me as well. It races so well that every time you get in it, it's a different experience, and you get to continue on. But good lap there. It looks like you're right on pace with Mike Dam and Josh Soto. Got you right on the inside of road 2 at the time being. But
Yeah, and he picked up like 1.4 seconds while he was talking to you, Larry.
well, he didn't hit all the cones in turn 17, so that helped a little bit.
Yeah. I gotta get in there and have him take out those dents so the arrow's good to go for the race.
Yeah, the crew, the unsung hero of every race weekend.
Go grab that fistful of zip strips.
All right, John. Well, good luck tonight. Put the finishing touches on your preparation, and we won't bother you during the race with any commentary, but maybe we'll get a chance to talk to you in about an hour.
That'd be great. I look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, John.
All right, there you go. John Allen, our season 20 pro champion, driving the number 101 seamless racing entry tonight. And Larry,
I was really just trying to stretch that out just so we knew that he was doing his full lap while we were still talking. I couldn't let him go midway, but it was too much fun.
And I'm telling you, he knocked over a full second off of his previous best lap while he was talking to you there. So pretty amazing to see. And of course, the Nathan he was speaking of was Nathan Nicholson, driver of the number 56 Delta Sport machine, who joined us mid-season, season 20, and put in some rather strong finishes. And right now, Nicholson is qualified 6th in the pro category here. And so as the checkered flag is now out on the session, Larry, we're going to have that starting grid here in just a few moments. I figured no sense of me breaking things down here by class, but pretty darn close up at the front of the field. And I think we heard from John Allen that perhaps, at least in this opening round, maybe ultimate pace during qualifying was not necessarily the key, or he doesn't see it to be the most important. So why don't we run down? Why don't I take the first 10 or so, Larry, and then I'll pass it off to you. Starting on pole tonight from Orion Racing with a fast time of 2:25.705. Got Robert Hartley starting right next to him on the outside of row number 1. His Orion Racing teammate finished 2nd in the championship last season. Mike Dam starting 3rd will be Josh Soto in the Soto Racing Operations machine. You can see there he was only 35 thousandths of a second off of the pole. John Allen will start 4th in that Seamless Racing number 101 machine. Travis Schwenke in Orion Racing's number 16 car will start 5th, with Nathan Nicholson starting 6th tonight. Brennan Horan, our 3rd place finisher in the championship, now with D2D E-Racing, having moved over from Esport Racer. He's going to have the number 45 car starting 7th. Bobby Child in the number 88 D2D E-Racing machine will start in 8th. Jeffrey Cranston will start on the inside of row number 5 in 9th. Chris Thorman from D2D E-Racing will start 10th.
All right, on row 6 on the inside, the StreetSurvival.org entry, Jeff Jacobs. He'll be lined up with one of our Esport racers, Jordy Fike, on the outside there of row 6. Row 7 on the inside, Tom Rathke in the Granite State Racing entry. And alongside him, another one of our D2D E-Racing drivers, David Payton. On row 8, one of our Esport racers, Greg Mack, lined up alongside the first of the Frito Sport Racing entries, Edgar Sancinelli. On row 9 on the inside, SKKJ Racing, Steve Daniel. On the outside, another Frito Sport Racing driver, Mike Taylor. On row 10, on that inside, Russ Ruddick from the Flying Tortoise Motorsports. And alongside him from Slicks Racing, Greg Brockway. Row 11, it'll be John Casey on the inside in 046 Racing, alongside another Frito Sport Racing driver, Mike Key. On row 12, Nick Parsono at NAP Motorsports, alongside Frito Sport Racing's Patrick Provenis. I believe that is our grid. Obviously, as you noted here, we've got two classes, Pro and Am. We do not separate the start for them. They start intermixed, which puts Bobby Childs, the highest qualifying of those Am category drivers here in this field, and leading quite a bit. We've got a big field here tonight, 24 drivers set up to take the green.
Yeah, that's right, Larry. So Childs and Cranston scheduled to start 8th and 9th. And then there's a pretty big gap till we get back to the rest of the open category with Sancinelli, Daniel Taylor, etc. But you know, here at the front of the field, and you know, as John Allen was saying again during the interview, that you know, perhaps ultimate pace here not necessarily the most important thing in qualifying. You know, it's going to be, you know, get through the first couple laps, get the heat in the tires. These MX-5s notoriously take a little bit longer than you would expect to get some heat in them. And so through some of the twisty sections here at Sebring, through turns 3, 4, 5, might be a little bit hairy for the drivers, and maybe even getting a jump off of the hairpin right here at turn number 7. But you know, once those cars come in, you know, we'll see how with some very long straights here, for example, coming out of turn 13, what's known as the tower turn, because it's right next to the tower for the still working airstrip right next to the track here, and down that Flying Fortress straight, and then also along the very long back straight, the Ullman straight. We'll see how that draft comes into play here. That should, you know, given the width of the track, given the type of braking that you need to get done going into sunset, should make for some very, very exciting racing here for 60 minutes. Now, we do expect that these drivers will at some point need to come in, as I think you mentioned during the interview with John, will need to come in for a pit stop here, most likely one stop for this race. And it'll be up to the drivers whether or not they take a set of tires or even a half set of tires. Not likely, however, given the stakes here tonight, as the pace car brings the field now down through 14, the Bishop turn, into what is known as Le Mans, or we call it the chicane here. This very quick left, right, or probably right, left, right onto that long back straight, the Ullman straight.
Yeah, that's a fun corner, by the way. Personally, I think it's got a good little rhythm to it, but it's so crucial to get that turn 16 onto the back straight they're going through now. To me, that and 17 are the upcoming last corner of the course, probably the two most critical to putting down fast flyers around here and staying with a pack of drivers. And tonight, I think it's really all about surviving the opening lap, maybe even conserve a little bit of fuel and be in there in the end, because MX-5s at Sebring always come down to the last lap dash.
Always to the very, and usually the very last corner. So we've got the field here. They're looking a little ragged, but we are going to have a 2x2 start. The start will be via a real live starter, as opposed to our the iRacing controlled starter here, as Hartley and Dam, the two Orion Racing teammates, come underneath the bridge. And this is actually the start of the start zone here. So if our pole sitter Hartley wanted to start picking up the throttle, he could do so, as our field comes side by side, 2x2 through turn 17, through the sunset turn. And we have a green flag, as we now have racing here from Sebring, season number 21 of the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. Quickly to the inside, holding that inside line, the number 3 of Robert Hartley. You can see John Allen going and setting up for a wide entry into turn 1, a traditional entry into 1, with Nate Nicholson trying to follow him through. And Allen may be able to get around Mike Dam as they come through that quick little bend at turn 2. Indeed he does. And Allen, he's going to shoot to the inside, try to get past Hartley on this very first lap. John Allen, he gets around the number 3 machine, move him up to the lead. Then Hartley, then Dam, then Nate Nicholson, who's kind of getting hung out to dry there on the outside in that red number 56 machine. But he's got Josh Soto there with him up to his fender as they come through turn 6. They're going to head down and make that run down into the hairpin. And Nicholson, he's a bit to the inside there. He might have position on Mike Dam, Larry, as they come into 7.
Yeah, Nicholson, remember, he started, I believe, in 6th. I believe it was the outside of row 4. Got himself into this 4th, and you can definitely see he's the aggressor right now. John Allen, beautiful tactic, great jump off the start. Got himself that great outside line going into 1, which is crucial, and able to make multiple passes. So it's still early, but a great jump for him, and a clean jump, I think, was probably critical for these this top group especially. They're still fighting. As Nicholson right on the inside of Soto there, holding his position. Soto always the aggressor as well. This would be a lot of fun if these guys keep this up for another 59 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. And you know, and Soto, as you mentioned, always very aggressive, known not to have the smoothest driving style, usually ends up throwing that car around quite a bit, especially early on. But, you know, Nicholson, you know, I thought maybe he wanted to try to get in line. There was just no way for him to do it, as he had both Mike Dam and Josh Soto nose to tail over to his left. But now Nicholson slots into 4th. Just behind Mike Dam, just ahead of Soto. And even with all that side-by-side running here in the early portion of lap number 1, it really hasn't allowed Allen or Hartley to sneak away, as these drivers, they're all now coming out of turn 10 and coming on to, probably not turn 10, but coming out of 13 onto that Flying Fortress straight here as they make their way down now hard under braking, going into Sunset for the very first time. And
yeah, this is one of those tracks. We do talk about this in other places where side-by-side back in the pack will cause the leaders to really break away. This place has enough of these long straights to, like you talk about, from Tower on down Lemont, or the Ullman straight, the front straight, long enough to catch a draft and catch back up again if you went too wide. And some of the corners are wide enough as well. Like I said, this place is meant for prototypes and GTs and all that. You know, but these little Miatas, they do just fine run here multiple places wide. So it does allow for those side-by-sides to not be as big a penalty as if we were running it even at Road Atlanta, for example.
All right, so we were just watching as they came through Sunset, through the final corner, that black number 41 machine of Tom Rathke, and driving, there it is, the black 41 machine. He is currently sitting 12th overall, and I believe 11th in, actually in 10th in pro. And he's raced with us before in the CSS. However, took, I believe, the majority of last season off. He took a very interesting line through Sunset that to complete that first lap, Larry, where he pretty much hugged the wall all the way around, and had a number of drivers actually get around him as they had opened up the corner. So I'm sure we'll probably see Tom go and adjust that line probably next time by.
Yeah, it's one of those, you know, if you don't practice a ton and you're not out here with others, you just kind of take the tight line, which I do sometimes also take a tight line there, but you start realizing that you give up a lot of position if you're not getting that exit run around there. So that's one thing that'll get adjusted as the race unfolds here. But this front pack staying kind of in order, considering how much passing and side-by-side we had for the first lap. There's been nothing since, as these guys now are all holding form, but it does look like Soto may be setting up Nicholson for a bit of a move here, perhaps down the Ullman Straight. So we'll keep our eyes on that as they go through Le Mans.
Yeah, as we come here through Le Mans, through the S's, and does appear as though Soto perhaps getting held up just a tiny little bit there, maybe with a little bit more pace. Saw him have to check up just a little bit going through the second portion of the S's there, as maybe the 56 wasn't carrying the speed that he expected. But at least for the moment, all of these cars getting in line, using that draft, and now stepping to the inside. There we go. It is Josh Soto coming up on the 56 machine, and the 93. Is he going to follow along? No, he's not, but very clean move there. Although, did Soto actually touch the inside wall there, Larry? It looked awfully
he
close.
touched that wall, and that's Nicholson.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, Nicholson running wide, getting the tire wall on exit. And it looked like both he and Soto had run wide, but heck, didn't even knock the mirror off that red car, Larry.
It does not appear to have damaged. That's going to be damaged, though. Is that Bobby?
That was the 56 of Nicholson and also the 88 of Bobby Childs. There you go. As those two drivers get together going into turn number 1, it looks like they've both recovered, but we'll see what kind of damage there is possibly to the 88 machine. Hopefully we can get a replay of that soon enough, and I know as soon as I ask, somebody will respond back in the production trailer. But that just seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
As they just got together. Probably it looked like even before the break zone for turn 1.
Yeah, that very, very unusual spot. It sounds like we are going to get a replay here, so we'll cue that up. There they are, Bobby on the left, Nicholson on the right as they turn into one. But I don't think Nate realized he was there, and I'm not sure Bobby turned in as tight as maybe he probably should have in that situation. But wow, that really did kind of shock us all. So we'll see if there's any damage to Nicholson, as Bobby's already lost a lot of spots as well.
Yeah, that was a bit, and not a huge surprise there that, there were essentially, 3.5 car widths between those two drivers when they turned in. And I think you said it there, that perhaps Bobby didn't turn down to the apex as hard as Nicholson would have expected, or perhaps Nicholson just didn't expect the car to come all the way up the inside there as he was taking that traditional entry into turn one from driver's right. But now it is a bit of a, I don't want to call it a 3-car breakaway yet, well, for the moment, yes, but even as they came down through Bishop and into Le Mans, into the section here, our top 3 cars, John Allen, Hartley, and Soto, had separated themselves out by a whole half a car width or so, or a car length or so, Larry. I mean, a huge amount there. And now stepping to the inside, it is the number 3 machine of Robert Hartley. He's got driver's right. He's going to try and hold John Allen, our leader, out to driver's left. And Soto's going to try and follow him through as they come into the sunset bend. And wow, you see how all the wheel hop that the number 3 car gets over that piece of concrete, Larry. But Hartley manages to hold on. He is your new leader. Move Josh Soto up into second. Move John Allen now back into third, although Allen's taking some looks to the inside. And it is still then Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke, the 2 Orion Racing teammates.
Speaking of looks inside, Soto now is going to try and take this thing all the way down into the S's on the inside. He might just have it. Looks like he does.
And it looks like Soto making the same move that John Allen made on the opening lap. So moves now Soto up into the lead. Move Hartley temporarily in first. Now our second place runner, although Soto drops a wheel into the curbing, he's going to lose a lot of momentum there as they make the run down into the hairpin. Soto, he's still got position. But we'll see if maybe John Allen can push Hartley through. Not going to get it done there. And it looks like Hartley's going to have to drop back in line. Although if you look at Soto, as we mentioned, perhaps not the smoothest driving style, but somehow he manages to keep the wheels rolling and keep up momentum.
This is one of those cars, oddly, being a momentum car, you would think you don't want to have all that extra movement in the car, but for some reason the Miata just works with aggression. Perhaps it's a bit of a setup tweak as well. But with all this side-by-side battling, not that it's the biggest penalty for these guys, but it certainly has helped tighten things up. And I'm talking about Brennan Horn there in 6th, and then right behind him, Chris Thorman. So the top 7 now are really a part of this train. There he is, the 45 of Horn. Right behind him, the 60 of Thorman. So it is a 7-car train at the front, leaving Jordy Fike and now Nate Nicholson on the recovery, about 2 seconds back from this field, but they can almost sniff a draft from there. So we'll see if they play nice. Maybe a little leapfrog down the Ullman Straight will help them catch up the draft and maybe make this a 9 or even a 10 car if you throw in David Payton. Yeah,
I was going to say, Larry, if they come through and either go side by side into sunset once again, or maybe side by side into 3, that could very easily bring the 56 of Nicholson, the 09 of Fike, and the 64 of Payton back up into that battle. And here we go as Soto sets up defensive entry into sunset. Hartley not going to take a run at him this time by. But also you'll notice here, well, maybe Hartley's going to try and get him on the outside, and he's got the inside line coming down in the one. Oh, more contact into the wall. It's the 64 of Payton. He slams the wall, driver's right, comes across the track, just misses the pit wall, but it looks like the 64 day.
I've seen this before. I've seen where they throw a full course. If he spends too long in front of that pit entry and blocks that entry.
Let's see if he can get the car moved away. It looks like he's going to be able to get it down the pit lane, but that car is limping.
Yeah, remember, he was right at the back of that front train. He was sitting, I think, right behind Jordy Fike and Nate Nicholson there in that 8th and 9th. So that's a huge loss for him, having run pretty well here through the first 5 laps.
All right, so let's take a look now here, and it is still Robert Hartley with Soto and John Allen, your top 3. Then we've got Dam, Schwenke, Horn. A little bit further back in the pack, Jeff Cranston is now your open category leader. in the number 97 machine. There he is in the last of those 3 cars there in the Craney Customs green or aqua and white number 97 machine. And then it is, you got to jump 2 cars back from there, where we've got the battle for second right now in open between Steve Daniel and Edgar Sancinelli. Those 2 drivers are side by side now as they roll through and set up now.
Yeah, it's been a good little battle. A few moments ago, I kind of caught Sancinelli, and he threw the hairpin side by side with Steve Daniel. But these guys now are racing again. This is, again, we're only 10 minutes into a 60-minute race. These guys are acting like we're doing the double sprint format tonight. You know,
Exactly.
This is going to be endurance sprint racing tonight.
Nobody tell them.
Please.
All right, let's take a look, Larry. I think we've got the replay of David Payton as he was with that group coming out of Sunset Bend, and his race ended early. There we go, and across he goes.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
We've seen a couple drivers catch that grass out there. The other ones, they were able to recover. It looks like in this case, for David, not able to get that recovery. It's the car snaps into the other wall. He looks like he's in repairs for now.
And yeah, given the rate at which he hit that wall, I think he's probably going to be there for quite some time, Larry. All right, so let's jump back, and we're watching right now here the group here. We've got Steve Daniel, we've got Edgar Sancinelli. This is the battle for second and open as the yellow, black, and white number 57.
And Bobby Childs is the 3rd car in that piece of this train.
As he's making his recovery after that spin an incident with Nate Nicholson early on. Now as they come out of Sunset.
Here. Remember, all of those guys here, all running in the same class. You see just in front of them, the number 2, Greg Mackey, is, I believe, in the pro class, but he's still running right then on the track. You see this field coming here. Look at Bobby going to try and sneak down the inside into the left-hander.
And hard under braking. You can see the wiggle there from the rear of the number 88 machine as he's going to try and get around Sancinelli. That's going to give a little bit of clearance for the time being to Steve Daniel, and allows Daniel to just hook onto the back of Greg Mack and get pulled along. But great battle here for podium positions in open.
Edgar
and now
going to make the move now into the hairpin.
There we go. And Sancinelli, I think he realized he wasn't going to be able to get up close enough going in that hairpin. It looks like we had a car go. Was that a car we had go around? It was. That's the 09 machine that has gone
Jordy
around.
Fike. Yeah, that's the 09 of Jordy Fike.
And just ahead of that, as they come through, it looks like Sancinelli went off and got Tom Rathke in the number 41 machine. They both went off going through turn 8. Fangio, as they had gotten out of the hairpin there, so maybe things got bottled up just a little bit.
Yeah, and usually in that section there, from 7 all the way up to 10, from the hairpin down to that right-hander, normally it's pretty easy flowing through there. But if you start getting somebody who goes a little bit slow coming out of the hairpin, opportunities for side-by-side exist, and if it's not done cleanly, you end up with contact. But back out in front, it's still Hartley leading this train, currently 7 cars deep.
Yeah, and so, all right, let's take a look, Larry, because I think we've got a replay now of Jeff Jacobs as this was coming out of the hairpin. And, yeah, it looks like we had Jacobs to the inside and Tom Rathke. Well, we'll just say yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was anything Rathke could have done there, as he was already pinned to the edge of the track, and Bobby Child just ran out of pavement there. So let's take a look now. Let's check here, Larry, at the front of the pack, side by side. It is Hartley and it's Soto. Soto's going to set up drivers right and try and get a run through the corner.
Yeah, Mike Dam trying to make a move here, unable to. He came off of Sunset looking like he was going to get the move to get around Soto. He was trying to draft up behind Hartley, his teammate, not able to make the ground. Soto able to stay in the draft behind Hartley himself, and be able to hold that position. I just wonder, are these guys doing any fuel savings? And oh, look at Hartley running wide.
Yeah, as Hartley runs wide coming out of turn number 5, and he's going to lose a lot of momentum there. That's going to certainly allow Soto through. That may allow his Orion Racing teammate Mike Dam to go through as well. And indeed, the number 93 machine is now going to take over second position if he can get that car woed down. So Soto, your leader now, 93 of Dam, then Hartley, then John Allen. Allen just wasn't quite in a spot to take advantage of Hartley's mistake there. And Allen, even going back to turn one where he tried to follow Josh Soto with that traditional line through one, just wasn't able to carry the speed. And, of course, we saw he was in qualifying about 0.25 of a second off of these top three drivers in qualifying. So we'll see if, I think he's going to probably need the draft to stay in this fight here. But we'll see if he has anything for these guys.
To be honest, I think John Allen's probably on the phone with his accountant right now, ready to file his Q2 taxes. Maybe he's ordering a pizza, because we've already shown the guy can just chat it up while he's driving. He doesn't really need the focus as the rest of us would need every ounce of brain power we have to do what they're doing right now. So John might just be taking it easy here. We've known in the past what he does often, and he's talked about this, is to do a little bit of fuel savings at this stage of the race, where as long as he can hold in the draft, save a little bit of fuel, he's in the train. Races aren't won at the 16-minute mark, right? They're won at the 60. So I think that may be what he may be doing, as well as a few others could be doing that in that group too. Mike Dam, he's in there. Is he being aggressive to stay at the lead, or is he trying to save some fuel? We'll have to wait and see. This guy, though, as we flash back to this race now for second here in the open class, the AM class, we've got Bobby Childs working his way through around the pro class driver Greg Mack. But Bobby able to get around. We saw him get around Edgar Sancinelli. Then he was able to get around Steve Daniel. Now he's got about 3 seconds up the road to catch up to current class leader, Jeffrey Cranston.
Yeah, well, and I think it's going to be a question of whether or not he can clear Greg Mack, because he's still side by side with him going down into turn at number one. If he can clear Mack, then he's got at least a little bit of breathing room, I think. Whereas both Childs and probably Daniel and Sancinelli would end up having to try and get by, but still side by side, inches apart, under braking going into three. And
that's the same move he made on Sancinelli just a lap or so ago.
Yeah.
As he was able to duck down the inside of there at three, but you certainly had to hold your breath as they went through one, knowing that that was the scene of the crime just about 4 or 5 laps ago, where he and Nate Nicholson came together. So this time he's able to get on through, no harm, no foul. Maybe, just maybe, with a pro class driver in between them, he has a little bit of breathing room and he can focus his sights down in front.
And this is interesting, Larry, because as they came down into the hairpin, you could see Greg Mack taking a defensive line going into turn 7 to hold off Steve Daniel and Edgar Sancinelli. I'm sure, again, not being in the same class, I'm sure Daniel and Sancinelli probably didn't think too kindly of it, but I guess it's also a challenge that if you're in the car, whereas we can tell which classes these drivers are in, the relative screens that they have in their cars right now aren't picking out the difference between pro and AM category drivers. You just kind of have to know by heart what class the driver is in, and Greg just sees two guys trying to take a position from him.
So one thing I do want to mention is we were just talking about that battle there in the AM category and with Bobby Childs, is he was issued a 5-second post-race penalty. Considering how close this race has been, it is possible that penalty could come back to bite him. And is that a graphics thing, or are there sparks coming from the underside of Mike Dam's car on his left rear that appears to be in the air? Take a look when he comes by here on Sunset. Maybe it's one of those weird glitches of iRacing, but for a moment there, going down the back straight, it was as if maybe the sim wanted to give him a bit of damage on that left rear, but he seems to be okay here.
Well, here we go now as they come down the front straight, and we've got Dam and Hartley to the inside, Soto all the way out to driver's right, and John Allen once again trying to follow Soto through as they come through. So move Mike Dam now back up into the lead with the 93 machine, then Soto. John Allen gets around Robert Hartley, and then we've got Travis Schwenke in the fight here as well. Let's not forget Brennan Horn, who is tailing along in this group, and looks like Thorman in the 60 machine has made his way into this lead pack as well. So once again, a 7-car battle for the lead. Are you sure, Larry, it wasn't just like those little leaves flying around over there?
Could be. It could be just a little bit of that. But at this point, things seem to be all right with him, as he did drop back a little bit, but no issues there. But looking at this field right now, there's a little bit of aggression going on, but I don't see John Allen being aggressive. I'm not sure I see Hartley being very aggressive. A little bit of battling here between Mike Dam and Josh Soto, but the rest just sort of playing nice as we are now passing the 1/3 of the way through the race.
All right, so Larry, I was mentioning earlier that we'd expect these drivers to take one pit stop in order to make their way the entire race distance, and given the amount of fuel that they're allowed to carry, we're saying that they could probably do about 14 laps on a tank of gas, and we think that the race will probably go somewhere along the lines of about 25 laps. So I think we're just now getting into that pit window. Figure that they'll probably end around lap 17 or thereabouts, but I mean, at this point in the game here, where we've got these 7 drivers all nose to tail, I can't imagine at this point that one of them would give up the fight to drop into the pits this early.
Not at all. I think this draft, they're running at a pretty strong pace, considering where the rest of the field is. These guys are just buzzing along at high 26s, low 27s. They did qualify, I believe, in the 25s for the front row.
Yeah.
So a little off of that, but with worn tires and full fuel loads, that's to be expected. But if you look at down the middle of the pack, those guys down in 11th, 12th, 13th, they're running 28s, almost 29s. So if you pit now, you're stuck running by yourself, or you run, an area where you have to make passes for position to make that up. I suspect these guys probably at least going to get to the 30-minute mark before we start seeing anybody duck in, and maybe they'll duck in pairs.
And I was just going to say that they probably come in pairs, just so that there's a good chance that you have a drafting partner when you get out there, as opposed to being all by your lonesome and perhaps giving up a good amount of position because you don't have the benefit of the draft.
Now, assuming, as we just talked about pits, it looks like Jeff Jacobs is going to be the first one to come in for the legitimate pit stop. Of course, we know that he did possibly a little bit of damage. He did have contact with Tom Rathke a bit ago. But if you want to talk about the effect of not having that draft partner, look at Nate Nicholson. We know that he's a pretty good driver by himself. We know he qualified, I believe, in 6th. He's running in 8th, but he's losing ground to Thorman in 7th. But Thorman has the draft. Nicholson doesn't. It's an example there where you'd love to have that draft to hang on to the pack in front of you. When you don't, you just lose a couple tenths here, a couple tenths there, and suddenly you find yourself, instead of being 3 seconds back, he's 6 seconds back from that pack.
Yeah, well, needless to say, we had a great view of it, Larry, last time by as Nicholson was coming out of that chicane at turns 15 and 16. He went for Mr. Toad's wild ride through the grass before he actually got all 4 wheels back on the pavement on the Ullman Straight, and probably lost quite a bit of ground there. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious here what the effects of the draft will do for you. As we jump back up to this lead pack, Mike Dam, Josh Soto, our top 2 drivers. Just about a car length back from there, John Allen, and then our pole sitter, Robert Hartley, currently sitting in 4th with Travis Schwenke, Brennan Horan, and then the 60 machine of Chris Thorman. Thorman having made up 3 positions since the start, so good run for him as that lead pack now comes onto the Ullman Straight, and you can see the next driver we're going to see is going to be Nate Nicholson there all by himself, and just no way for him to make his way back up into this lead pack. As it stands, I think the question will be whether or not Jeff Cranston, our leader in the AM category, could maybe make up some ground, get up to Nicholson, and those 2 drivers can maybe work together to try and move up through the field.
Yeah, fascinated by the slightly different lines, even though they're running nose to tail, between Soto and Dam. Dam, and I think I even saw Hartley doing this earlier as well, tend to go a little tighter on the entry to Sunset Bend, turn 17, a little wider on the exit. Soto tends to go a little bit more mid-track on entry, a little more mid to sweeping exit there as it comes out of it. Just a slightly different line. Now in a pack, you don't really see it, doesn't really play out, but I'm wondering when we get down to where these guys are really fighting, if those lines will make a difference, because these Orion guys coming on the inside, which they're getting used to the inside line. You make a pass down the Ullman Straight, that inside line becomes critical to know where that exit point is.
Yes.
Soto, I don't know if he's been practicing that inside line as much as the Orion guys have.
And just amazingly, Larry, here as we watch these drivers come through the S's, how they're using the backside of the curbing going through turns 4 and 5, and how much it does throw this car around. The pavement itself is one thing. but you can see how much it really lifts these cars up and how much time they spend on two wheels trying to navigate their way through the S's, and every last one of them is doing it. So we'll continue to watch here. Like, again, in real life, these are the types of things that you would do that would guarantee that your car may not make the an entire 40-minute or 60-minute race, because you'd be loosening up every single bolt on the bottom of the car. But pretty amazing to watch here as these drivers just toss these cars around lap after lap after lap as we continue to watch this lead battle. Now, also, I think, Larry, the last time we checked in that AM category, I think Bobby Childs was sitting about 3 seconds back from Jeff Cranston. We can see he's starting to close things down. Remember that Childs had that battle going on with the number 2 machine of Greg Mack, and he's finally worked his way clear.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting battle as we get close to this halfway point, as Bobby's just a tenth or two quicker. You can see it there on the bottom of the screen. It was 0.6, and then half a tenth. Lost some of that ground, picked up a tenth, another half a second. So he's picking it up in little bits. But how close will he get before they decide to come in for the pits? Don't be surprised if come pit time, these guys are nose to tail coming in for fuel.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Bobby might wait a little bit longer till he is a little bit closer to the 97 car here before they come in. Well, let's take a look as he takes a very tight line, and he might be coming into the pits now, and there he is. Coming in from second in AM category is going to be Bobby Childs for his mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, very early. Interesting tactic. We've seen his pace is pretty strong. Probably just feeling it's about that time to come on in, maybe before he gets caught in the battle. He's thinking clean air is better for him. Or maybe it was just time to warm up the vocal cords and do a little more karaoke here at the halfway point.
And he is taking some tires.
So the thing about refueling in these MX-5s is you can take on one side of tires essentially for free by the time you finish your fuel. You don't have to worry about the time loss. But if you want to take all 4, it's a little more time. I didn't see the right side of Bobby's car going up, so perhaps just taking less.
All right, as we rejoin the front of the pack here, and maybe a little tiny bit of a breakaway for Dam and Soto, but you'll see here they're going to draft right back up as they come through turn 10.
Yeah, it's what we're calling a 6/10 gap, like 3 car lengths, a breakaway.
Yeah. And Soto showing the nose every last chance he gets as they came out of Collier there and made their way over towards the tower turn. We noticed as Soto just kept that car pinned all the way driver's left to let Dam know he was there. I don't think, given what we've seen out of Mike Dam over the past couple of years, I don't think that really makes much of a difference. Hey, look, there are those sparks, yes. Larry.
You see that? The wheel's not turning on my screen, so there's something weird going on with the damage model. From what we can tell, as
there we go. Now it clears out.
From what we can tell, it doesn't appear to be any issue with the car. No official damage. But
yeah, I mean, it starts up when he takes the inside of that curbing over at 15.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's one of those where the damage model is trying to do something. It knows something's weird, so that's all it can do. But at what point does it finally say, okay, that's it, I'm going to break the car?
Yeah, exactly. Now we're going to break the rear hub and the wheel's going to go flying.
You never know. So we are now, as we approach the halfway point, we can start to speculate on who's going to be the first one to just duck away from this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see, let's say, Hartley and Schwenke, the Orion teammates sitting back there in 4th and 5th, if they duck in the next time by, go in together, come out together, now they got a drafting buddy, and start to let the rest of this top 7 sort things out.
Yeah, and going by history, Larry, of course, we typically see John Allen pitting in at more or less, I think, the last possible moment
when he's on fumes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if that's the case. But let's do this, Larry. We're right about halfway in this race now, up on that 30-minute mark. So why don't we take a quick break? We'll thank our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll bring you the remainder of tonight's race here from Sebring International Raceway. You are watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway and round 1 of season 21 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, while we were gone, we had our leader, Mike Dam, come into the pits for his mandatory pit stop. He was the only one of these drivers in that front pack to do so. So, we'll have to keep an eye on what kind of pace he is keeping as he is now out on track. You could see there all by himself. We'll see what kind of pace he can keep up here as he's going down, and you can see kind of fighting the car into the hairpin there, as he did take new left tires.
Exactly, and that was part of it. So now he's got colds on the left and warm warns on the right. So he's got to deal with that as the left side tires come up to temp. But in the long run, the last 10 minutes of the race, he'll be thankful he's got those left side tires. Especially going through the hairpin, going through Sunset Bend, all those right-handers that just destroy left tires in these cars. We saw Bobby do it. I'm going to suspect everybody's going to take those left side tires tonight. But it's interesting to break away from that pack. Maybe he felt like he saved enough fuel that he could complete his strategy. Now we'll see if the next Orion guys, which would be Schwenke and Hartley sitting second and fourth, see if they come in on this time around or if they keep going.
And Soto's keeping that car to the inside, and indeed, Josh Soto, he's going to bring his car down the pit lane for his mandatory pit stop. That is going to elevate Robert Hartley, our pole sitter tonight, back to the lead with John Allen, Travis Schwenke, Brennan Horan, and Chris Thorman, now the remaining 5 cars in that lead pack.
So this for Soto could be a reaction to the stop there for Mike Dam. Probably thinking, my best chance to sync back up with him is to go in right now and not wait. Whereas if he decides to go another lap or two and he loses pace or loses something, the further those gaps will get. So for him, not a bad idea to come in. Perhaps if he can reconnect with Mike Dam, now the two of them make a formidable pairing to try and win this race while the others are still out there.
All right, and Soto's still in the pit box, and Soto now back underway. 21 seconds in his pit box, just about 0.8 of a second longer than Mike Dam's just a lap before. And there you go, Mike Dam coming through turn 1 with Soto exiting the pit lane, and as they come out on track, lo and behold,
Soto,
nose to tail.
Yeah, and frankly, if you're Mike Dam, you're probably appreciative of this as well, because to have a drafting buddy, the only caveat to that is if Soto decides to just get aggressive, now it could slow them down. But if they can work together, a little bump drafting, a little bit of strategic swapping, I think this could work out really well for them, while the other 4 have to now decide, do they come in now or do they go until they're on fumes, which honestly, the size of this track may only be probably another 1 or 2 laps in.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not going to be all that long, and with the flat open running that you have here on some of these long straightaways, probably not the advantage that you would have at a smaller, tighter track. So here we go as we watch now Hartley and Allen come through the S's and set up. And again, we're on lap 15 right now, so still a couple, I'd say probably another two, maybe 3 laps max in this pit window for them, regardless.
Now they have to worry about is what kind of traffic is there to try and funnel down into that pit entry without having free reign. If all of a sudden 4 of them decide to go in together, you've got to really be careful. You're not going to cause a wreck through that. And it is a very tight opening going into pit entry.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see there, especially some of these drivers, they've taken very tight entries in the sunset, and they've really got to crank the wheel over to get down to the pit lane. And John Allen now, he's going to make his run in a little...
did he get slowed down in time?
Well, we'll find out soon enough whether or not he got a penalty or not. But John Allen did come down onto the pit lane now, and a little bit of a surprise. As we said, he usually is one of the last drivers out. But also look at this, Nate Nicholson, John's running partner there, coming down into the pit lane as well. And now we're starting to see a lot of our drivers come in. The number 97 machine, that is Jeffrey Cranston. He's pitting in from the lead in the AM category, the Carini Customs machine. Looks like the number 2 of Greg Mack has come into the pits as well. And we'll see if any other drivers come down, but you can see things starting to tighten up there on the pit lane as John Allen, he now continues on his way, and you can see most of these other drivers getting new left-hand tires. Let's see where John Allen rejoins.
Yeah. I'll be watching for that, and also watching for this guy, Bobby Childs, to see where he rejoins as Cranston was able to come in. We'll see where they come out together. But John Allen, look at this, just about 3 car lengths behind Josh Soto. He's able to sync right back up. Now the question is, I thought maybe he'd be able to save some fuel, but all 3 of these guys, their fuel stops were within 7-8 tenths of each other, so no real advantage there. If he was able to save any fuel, he wasn't able to capitalize in his pit stop. As Bobby going a little bit of aggro there.
And you can see there from all the dirt that is a spot where a lot of our drivers go wide. They're coming out of turn 1 and setting up for what they call turn 2. Turn 2, not much of a turn there, just a slight little bend on the way down into the heavy braking into turn number 3. But kind of a common thing there to run wide and use as much pavement as you can.
Well, I want to point out the reason we're watching Bobby is he is, I believe, the assumed potential leader here in the AM category, as Greg Brockway, Russ Ruddick still have to make their stops. But he came out in front of Cranston, who dropped all the way behind Santinelli and Daniel. Cranston's pit stop was about a 35-second stop compared to about 21-22 for everybody else. So something went wrong there for Jeff. Not quite sure what that was. If it was a penalty in the serve, or if perhaps he took all 4 tires instead of the 2 like some of the others. Either way, he has lost some pretty significant track position and track time to what we expect to be Bobby Childs, probably going to resume the lead now in that class once the rest of the field makes their stop.
That's right. And so, and as you mentioned, there's an after race penalty coming up to Bobby Childs. So I mean, it certainly would behoove him to make up as much ground as he can here, and perhaps he'll be able to carry enough of a gap back to the rest of the AM category field that it won't matter. But what did you say the
5-second penalty post-race. He's been assessed, and right now he's about 6 seconds ahead of Edgar Santinelli and another second ahead of Steve Daniel. So we'll keep our eye on those guys. And then right now we've got Jordy Fike coming in, and it looked like perhaps the 62 of Brockway. And now this is the 95.
Yep, the 95 machine coming in.
Russ Ruddick.
Ruddick.
So that means we're going to be watching for Bobby Childs, see if he does, in fact, assume the lead there in the M category, assuming Ruddick and Brockway take a little longer to get back going again. And then we'll watch that 5-second gap like a hawk, as we've seen in the higher echelon of motorsports. That post-race penalty is always a fun one to watch.
There he goes, and it looks like he is going to leapfrog, or maybe not leapfrog, but he is going to come out ahead of the other AM category drivers, ahead of Santinelli, ahead of Brockway as well, and he's got a pretty good advantage there, Larry, as we take a look. We're looking at about a little over 6 seconds.
Yeah,
looks like 6.5 seconds.
As that's John Allen back in the pits.
And there's some damage there in the left front, Larry.
Oh no!
There is actually quite a bit of damage in the left front of John Allen's number 101 machine.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if that is a unplanned stop, perhaps now even after a tow. That's not good for our reigning champion here in the pro category.
So hopefully we'll get a replay here as we jump back to this battle for the lead. What was a 3-car battle, now down to 2, between Hartley and between Soto and Dam. Again, they are not our race leaders at the moment. Robert Hartley is our leader, but Hartley, Schwenke, and Brendan Horan, all 3 coming down the pit lane now for their pit stops.
All right, so we're suspecting with John Allen perhaps an equipment failure, not of his car in the sim, but perhaps the sim itself may have had an issue. So can't even get a replay.
Getting word now that that was an equipment issue, that that the car pretty much disappeared.
So the top 4 that were in the race lead, Hartley, Schwenke, Horan, and Chris Thorman, all now in the pits. We're watching these 2, Mike Dam, Josh Soto. Where do they come out? Where do Hartley, Schwenke, and Horan come out? Actually, more in particular, do they come out in front of, behind, or with these 2? And they're moving in the pits already.
And here we go, coming off and out of the box. We've got Dam, we've got Soto side by side, and it looks like those 2 drivers, they are going to beat Hartley, Horn, and Schwenke out of the pits here. And so still your leader, Mike Dam, in the number 93 machine after our pit cycle has completed. Then Hartley, then Horn, then Schwenke, then Thorman, pretty much as they came into the pits. Here just about a lap and a half to go. So with just a little bit under 20 minutes remaining, it is Dam, Soto, Hartley, your top 3, and things here after those pits kind of stretch out a bit.
The fact that Soto came in the lap immediately following Mike Dam might have changed the scope of this race, because those guys were running 226s when it was just the 2 of them doing their thing, while the other 3, Hartley, Horan, and Schwenke, they were running 227s, and that little bit for a couple laps suddenly adds up. And take a look at this. Hartley, because he had a very fast pit stop, was able to at least to take care of most of that disadvantage and get the best stop he could. He's got to catch these guys. He's got about a second to do it, but he's within range. Horan and Schwenke, they're 3 seconds back. Their pit stops were 22 seconds, nothing extreme. But the fact that that little bit of time that they had just lost lap by lap, while Soto and Dam were flying out there as a twosome, seems to have changed the scope of this race. Keep our eyes on Hartley, see if he's able to close that gap by himself. We know the guy's got one of those, 10,000 iRatings or whatever he's got. If anybody's got the skills to do it,
he's
Hartley.
The one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he's got about 1 second to catch that draft off the back of Soto and try to make this a 3-car race to the finish.
And it does look like he's carrying a little bit more speed down the front straight here, or probably the Oldman straight. Larry knocked about a 10th off here just as they come down into the braking zone. The gap now 1.1.
Yeah, I think Soto was pushing Mike Dam too. I think there was a little bump drafting up there. But that lead's quickly going away.
Yeah, exactly. And we can see now the lead is now down to less than 1 second here as they come onto the front straight. And so it didn't take long, only a couple corners, but Hartley definitely in the game as we've got Schwenke and Horn now side by side. This is the battle for 4th as they come down into turn 1, and Schwenke manages to hold off Horn, at least for the time being, both running a little bit wide coming out of 1. Again, not uncommon there.
Those guys are going to need a little bit of help of the 3 in front of them, I think, to catch them, make it a 5-car pack. Otherwise, these 2 could just be having their own little battle for 4th.
Yeah, as they're now about 4 seconds out of that lead 3 cars. So again, yeah, they're going to have to kind of put the battling aside for a little while, knowing that there are only 15 minutes remaining in this 60-minute race, and lay down arms and see if they can make up ground. But still, 4+ seconds here at Sebring is it's not insurmountable, Larry, but it's gonna be tough.
It will be, but they're gonna have a fun little battle. We know we've seen these guys, these 2 in particular, battle this out before. Travis and Brennan, not the first time they've been side by side. This will be a fun little 15 minutes for them. Well, we've got, of course, the battle for the overall lead with those three out there. And then, of course, we got the battle for the AM category. And not just the battle of the numbers you see in front of you, but we get that plus 5 seconds to be added to Bobby Childs at the conclusion of the race. Right now, he really has a 1.9 second lead on Edgar Santinelli, who's side by side with third place in the class, Steve Daniel. So these guys know they got to get within 5 seconds, but they're not helping themselves
and the more they fight and the more they run side by side, Larry, the better it is for Childs to open that gap up above and beyond the 5 second minimum that he needs.
Yeah, Daniel here though, good line to run up to the onside. The problem is it's another right-hander. Santinelli's got the advantage on that inside, and just not able to make that pass from Steve Daniel there on that outside. Tough place to make that stick if they force you outside.
Yeah, this has been a great battle to watch here, Larry, between these two drivers here, battling it out for the podium in the AM category, because more or less since lap 2, they've been in this position. They've had some pro class drivers in the middle of the battle from time to time, but for the most part, we've seen them kind of like this, almost side by side, going through most of the corners here.
Yeah, they're going to continue to do it and have a good race. Now that's allowed Cranston, who was early on leading this field in the M category. Now he's going to make this a three-way fight. And I don't think Greg Brockway's too far out of this either, and that number 62 just behind them. So this is the battle for second, or if Bobby Childs has any missteps, this could be the battle for the lead in the M class.
That's true, Larry, and I didn't even think about the 97 of Cranston, because the last time we had seen him is after he'd come out, finished his pit stop, that disastrous pit stop, and he was almost 4 seconds back from these two drivers. My
speculation might be, again, this is all speculation, is that Cranston may have taken 4 tires instead of 2, which might have given him a longer pit stop. It's a possibility. If he did, means his car is going to turn well going right and going left. The other guys, if they only took 2 tires, are going to struggle a little bit in some corners. May give Cranston a bit of a heads up here, a bit of a leg up in this heads up battle with these 3 going down to the finish.
And you can see now as Cranston was trying to make the decision, should he go all the way down the inside? Santinelli did have that covered, but at this point, it definitely looks as though Cranston's got the better pace of the 3, but certainly, if anything, it might be easier for Santinelli to defend against 2 drivers ahead than just a single, or 2 cars behind than just a single car behind here. And now let's
Cranston gained 2.5 seconds on these guys the last time around. So he is the quickest of these 3, but didn't help, as we saw Steve Daniel and Santinelli doing a lot of what they're doing right now, this side-by-side stuff, allowing Cranston to get them. But Cranston's lap time is a 26.9, I believe it was. 26.8, so he's got pace right now. He might be one of the quickest cars on the track outside of the top 4.
Yeah, it just has nowhere to go. You can see it's like bottled lightning that he looks as though he'd have the ability to get around these guys, but you have 2 cars set and positioned very nicely side by side with a half a car width between them, and there's nowhere for the 3rd car in the line to go. We'll see what happens though as they come now under braking and go through the tower turn onto the Flying Fortress straight, and we'll see if Cranston can manage to draft by. I mean, this is typically a good spot to be.
Yeah, it's tough to stick your nose in here to go in Le Mans, so he might be better off making sure he gets the good run, perhaps force Santinelli into a bit of an awkward Le Mans exit, but get the run down the Ullman straight. Gonna get a decent hook. See that car just grabbed there. I do think he may have taken tires. Now that would be a good left side tire, which hopefully they all took. But he's got a good run here. We'll see who pops first. As we've now about 10 minutes to go in the race. This is kind of game time now.
All right, so we see Cranston does pop to the inside. Santinelli, he's trying to decide whether he should move up on the 96 car as well, and it looks like for the moment Jeffrey Cranston now takes over 4th position in the AM category, probably 3rd position in the AM category, and moving Santinelli back into 4th, and now I guess we'll see coming down in the 1.
And you remember a few moments ago, we were talking about that 6-second range of the gap between Bobby Childs leading this class and these guys fighting for second. It's now almost 11 seconds.
Yeah,
so
they lost 5 seconds in the last 2 laps there to our AM category leader. So yeah, Bobby Childs just kind of sitting and saying, thanks, keep fighting.
Yeah, but now the fight we want to see also is here for the overall in the pro category here between Mike Dam Robert Hartley, the teammates, making a sandwich out of Josh Soto in between them. These guys, yeah, they're running 26-1s right now. Remember, qualifying on the pole with, I think, a 25-7.
7, yeah.
Yeah. So a pretty good pace out front, which means they're also playing nice right now with this 4 to 5 laps to go. We'll see how nice they get when it's down to 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, as you can see there, Horn and Thorman not, or probably Schwenke and Horn not able to make up any ground.
Yeah. And that's just pace. These top 3 are flying. That's how critical it is to not lose that draft when you're in that kind of a group. If you're Horn and Thorman, the fact that their pits were just a little bit slower than Hartley's put them back a little bit. They're going to have a good little finish here as they're completely nose to tail using that draft. This could be one of those, whoever gets the better line coming off of that Le Mans turn 16 on the last lap, probably going to get that position. With these 3, it's going to come down to this corner in about 4 more laps. Is there's a long enough run off that corner to the stripe to take a position.
Well, I was going to say, Larry, it might not even take that long because Soto didn't get nearly the run he needed out of Sunset, but he had our leader, Mike Dam, pinned against the wall driver's left there for quite some time. It looked like he was going to be able to really compromise the 93's entry into turn 1, but fell back just a little bit, and now it is a question of whether or not Soto can hold off Robert Hartley.
I'm not sure that I'm just watching those guys having a bit of a side-by-side. It looked like Soto was able to hold the position, and now it's Cranston trying to get ahead of Steve Daniel going into Sunset Bend. Looks like he's got that position again. If he took on the 4 tires, he could have the quicker car. We'll see if he's able to pull away or if the draft keeps us a 3-way battle for the next, we'll call it 4 laps or so.
Yeah, but Cranston was in that right around that 5-second range just a few laps ago, and this battle with Sanchinelli and Daniel has really stunted the pace of that number 97 machine. There you go, as the 96 machine tries to come underneath them, going into turn number 3, not quite able to get close enough. However, but we'll see here, especially if Cranston has the new tires on all 4 corners, whether or not he's able to separate himself out. Remember, right now he sits 10.6 seconds back from Bobby Childs, and needs to knock about a little bit over 5 seconds off, and he only has 6 minutes to do it.
Yeah, that's a tall order, but if he does have newer tires, again, we're speculating. We didn't quite catch and see if that's the reason. But if it is, and he's got that pace, he might be able to take part of that. And all it takes then is for Bobby to run into traffic or something else to maybe get that under that 5-second range. So he doesn't have to pass him. He just has to get within the 5 seconds. We'll keep our eye on that. While we flash back over to the overall lead, there is Mike Dam down the Ullman Straight. Josh Soto getting a run. I wonder if Dam picked up a course cut.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, Larry. He pulls all the way to driver's right, and he lets both Josh Soto and Robert Hartley by. And I think you're absolutely right there. Mike Dam, who was our leader, now sitting back in 3rd place as he sees both the 07 and the 3 car drive right on by on the Ullman Straight.
I don't want to tell Mike Dam how to do his job and service penalties, but I've served penalties a whole lot less damaging than that. If you go to the slowest corners and you just sort of lift in the slowest corners, you serve the same penalty, but if you lift in the straightaway, it kills you.
You get killed.
Straightaway. So just a little tip if you're caught with those penalties. Now, Mike Dam may have been able to limit that damage. He's only a second back. He's going to get right back into this, and we know that coming down to the finish here, this pace of these 3 is going to slow down because we're going to see some side-by-sides with 5 minutes left on the show clock here. These guys already starting to queue up for some side-by-side as Soto looks like he's going to pop outside of Hartley here any second.
And here we go as they make their way down to the hairpin, and there Soto shows his nose just a little bit there. We've got the Chateau Lawn drivers left. This is the new hairpin. The old hairpin, you can see there as the pavement continued on all the way up to the wall there, was brought in a number of years ago because of, well, the chances of people just driving straight into the wall here. But still not the safest corner on earth, but great fight going on now here between Robert Hartley and Josh Soto. and Mike Dam, our previous leader, as well, as they go through the Collier curve, and they're going to go and set up now just a couple more corners until they come up to that Flying Fortress straight there, hard on the brakes, around and onto that straightaway. See if either of them drop a wheel. No. And another one of those places, and you can see there with all the dirt pushed aside, lots of opportunity there to run wide. But it is still in a great run out of 13, Larry. Again, the 93 car, he's able to draft right back up, but you can kind of see there coming out of some of these corners.
He's aggressive on that cut, though, there on the S's.
Yeah, we might see that. We might see the number 3 machine having to pay the same price that the 93 did the lap before.
Yeah, actually, I'm wondering if Mike Dam did it again as he's fading back a little bit. But let me take you back to, because in the iRacing platform, there's public races. There's this advanced Miata Cup. It's 35-minute races. About a season ago, there was a race here at full Sebring International, just like we're running here tonight. And I happen to be in that race with a John Allen and a Josh Soto. Not surprisingly, those two qualified in the front row and walked away, and I'm 10, 15 seconds back or whatnot. And Soto and Allen had a battle just like you're seeing Soto in the middle of right now. Soto won that race on what I believe ended up being one of these critical last lap passes into 17. So he knows he can do it against the talent of a John Allen, very much equal in the talent here of Hartley and Dam. So Soto, not at all intimidated by this. He's going to mix this up, and I think he knows he's done it before. You may see that kind of move again where he can make the move down the inside in 17 on the last lap. 3 minutes from now, we'll figure it out.
There you go, and you saw there, Larry, that the 93 of Mike Dam managed to get around Josh Soto, at least temporarily, coming through turn 1. Soto with a very strong move down to the inside under braking in the 3, retakes second position, and now they're just shuffling here, and Soto trying to come down the inside underneath Robert Hartley going into the hairpin, cannot get it done, runs a little bit wide there as he compromised his exit just a little bit, maybe gives a little bit of an advantage to the 3 car on the run now up to turns 10 and 11. But again, so little difference between these 3 cars, and they're able to draft right back up immediately as we have just a little bit under 2 minutes remaining. So should be white flag this next time by, Larry, and just about 1.5 laps remaining here from Sebring.
Mike Dam right now doing his best impression of the national bird of Canada. I'm talking about the mosquito, just being the mosquito in the ear of Josh Soto, just buzzing left, a little bit right.
Not the Canadian goose.
Have you been to Canada?
Squawk. I don't know.
Not far from Michigan, and I can tell you the mosquitoes are bad here. But watching these guys, I think that's what you're looking at. Mike Dam, he's had nothing to lose in the 3rd spot. That's where the desperation moves come in. You'd like to be in the top 2 entering the last lap, which we're going to get white flag next time by, I believe. But watching where Mike Dam is, he would love to get up into that 2nd spot, but Soto's not, as we've seen, not going to give it up easily. He's going to continue to push, might even pop out here to make sure he stays in 2nd. Nope, to stay in line. We'll see that white flag here is just the other side of the bend.
Yeah, he saw the 3 car of Hartley cheat in a little bit. He did the same thing to cover the 93 machine, and as they come out of turn 17 onto the front straight, white flag is in the air. 1 more lap remains here at Sebring, and Soto now trying to decide whether he should try to pin the 3 car in or whether he should go wide. A lot of jockeying there, and as they come out of 2 and make the run down into 3, we've got Soto, driver's left, and he's got the position going into turn number 3 as he manages to hold Robert Hartley off, at least for the time being. Then we've got Mike Dam in the number 93 machine. He's sitting back in 3rd, but Hartley's not done, and Hartley might have given a tiny little tap there to the 07 car as they came through turn 6 as they're now setting up for the hairpin, this long run. And look at this, 3 cars wide, Larry, as they come down towards the hairpin. Soto to the inside, Dam in the center. Then we've got Hartley, drivers left. And as they come through, Hartley now falls back into 3rd position. It is now Soto and Mike Dam. Mike Dam a nose up on Josh Soto, the number 93 leading.
Critical as they come up to 10, and Soto stays on that right side, doesn't give this up. He's going to do all he can to outbrake. He's not going to be able to outbrake Mike Dam, though.
All right, and as they come through that tight right-hand corner and set up for the tower turn at 13. And you saw there for a moment as Hartley just kind of came down the inside and got on the brakes early. But of course, Soto had to worry about that as they make that wide sweeping turn onto the Flying Fortress straight, and it is the 93 of Mike Dam. He is your leader. Josh Soto second. Hartley about 15 car lengths back from there. It's Brennan Horn and Travis Schwenke just off the podium, running fourth and fifth. And now Soto coming down to the inside right beside the 93 cars. They go through Le Mans, through the chicane, and the 07 car, he's going to have position as they come onto the Ullman straight, Larry, for the last time.
Why? I'm trying to figure out why, unless the opportunity was there, he had no choice. But you would think he'd wait till after 16 to get the run down this straight, which is where Hartley's taking advantage to go the outside. We're going to go 3 wide down here. Can Soto be on the inside, and can he pull this off as he's got Hartley in the middle, Hartley on the outside, Dam in the middle? Oh, it's anybody's race with last corner around.
And Soto in the inside there, he manages to hold off, checking up just a little bit as the 93 of Mike Dam. And as they make the run down to the finish line, who's it going to be?
Oh, no.
And it's Soto. Soto takes the win. Robert Hartley finishes second. Mike Dam finishes in third. 0.03 of a second separating those two drivers, Soto and Hartley. And then Travis Schwenke, he will bring the number 16 car home in fourth. Brennan Horn will come home in fifth. As we look a little bit further back in the pack, we're following right now our AM category leader. That is Bobby Childs in the D2D iRacing number 88 machine. Remember, he needs to keep a 5-second advantage over the rest of the AM category as he comes out of turn 17 behind Greg Mack. Mack is going to finish 8th overall. Bobby Childs on track is going to take the win in the AM category. And let's take a look at this side by side. It is Sancinelli and it is Daniel. And as they come to the stripe,
I can't
how
call
close
it
can
close.
it be?
Maybe Sancinelli? Wow, 1,000ths.
Sancinelli edges out Steve Daniel by 1/1000th of a second, I believe. Let's take a look here. Actually by about 0.04 of a second separating those two drivers. And then the question then becomes, because we didn't see it, what happened to Jeffrey Cranston as he fell back? He finishes 4th in the AM category. Oh my. And the difference between Bobby Childs and Edgar Sancinelli look to be about 10 seconds or maybe 11 seconds. So Bobby Childs, so Childs should be able to hold on even with that 5-second penalty.
I think he will, but Sancinelli to Daniel, that 11,000ths, I believe, is what iRacing has them at. But the guy at the front, Josh Soto, beautiful race, unbelievable between he and Hartley and Dam. And Soto, that crazy move into the Le Mans curves, able to somehow be in the right position and get the right line through 17 to hold off the teammates of Hartley and Dam. It's just an amazing race up and down, and it's so much fun to watch. But congrats to Josh Soto. Great run.
Yeah, great run for him. All right, so Larry, why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here from Sebring International Raceway. You've just witnessed round number 1 of season 21 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Sebring International Raceway, where you've just seen the season opener of Season 21 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. Let's do a quick recap of our finishing order here. Taking the win tonight, Josh Soto and the Soto Racing's operations machine, 42 thousandths of a second over Robert Hartley, and only less than 2/10 of a second back from there was Mike Dam. That is your pro category podium. In the AM category, Bobby Childs from D2D iRacing takes the win in the number 88 machine. Edgar Sancinelli and Steve Daniel, look at that, 11 thousandths of a second separating the remaining steps on the podium. Jeff Cranston, Greg Brockway finishing just out of the money, 4th and 5th in the AM category. So let's take a look here, Larry. Well, guess what? We don't have anybody sitting in the staging area in the green room right now, so hopefully we'll get one of them.
Somebody
here
go
soon
get
enough.
Josh Soto. I'm sure he smells of champagne right now, but I would like to have a word with that young man for the
That's right.
performance.
Well, I was going to say, if you'd like, Larry, because I see him here, we could bring in Nate Nicholson, who again had we could find out what happened on that pit stop of his, and how he actually, I guess it was not, well, it wasn't Nate Nicholson who had the long pit stop. Let's see if we can get any of our other drivers here. And I'm looking around to see. Tell you what, I think we got him. Let's go and bring in Josh Soto, who is our winner tonight in the MX-5s.
All right, we have with us tonight hopefully a tired man, but maybe he's running on adrenaline. The winner in the pro and in the overall the race, Josh Soto. Josh, congrats.
And he just jumped out, Larry. Let's try and grab him again.
We had him all that build up.
We had him. I swear we had him.
He probably wasn't ready. Hey, Josh. Josh Soto here, race winner with us. Josh, what a race. I'm going to start with the finish. Tell me about the move going into the Le Mans curves before the last run down the back straight.
Oh man, it was a tough one. My main oh wait, hold on. 1 second. My main strategy was just to stay on the inside. That way I would be able to control more of the outcome of the when we got out of the turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you took that inside essentially going into turn 15, held it all the way through 16, and then you get the three wide with the other two Orion guys on your left. You were just trying to hold it inside. Were you thinking that someone out there is going to get a better run, and you were just eyes shut at that point?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been through that through turn 17 like a couple times, so I know that the ones on the outside they usually have a better run, especially coming out of turn 17. If they are able to set up the run on the outside, so it's just a matter of timing and getting my car in the right position to be able to not let that happen.
Yeah, awesome run there. But I also want to ask, I think one thing that helped change the face of the race a bit was your pit stop choice. Mike Dam had come in from the lead. You went in a lap later. The other guys waited about 3 or 4 more laps. Was that a decision on the fly, or were you always thinking that was your pit moment?
Oh yeah, that was a decision on the fly. I didn't expect Mike to come in so early. So I kind of hesitated. I was trying to decide whether I wanted to follow him in the pit or not. So I knew I definitely had to go into the pit next lap just to try to keep pace, because he was running a really fast pace throughout the whole entire race. So yeah, I was just trying to get into the pit as soon as possible, try to minimize the amount of time.
Well, I tell you what, between the decisions to do that and then at the end of that race to have that inside line and to be in the right place, right time, to have that run off the last corner, gives you the much deserved and I'm sure the rest of the field a little jealous of this opening round win for Josh Soto. So Josh, tell me, who do you want to thank for tonight's victory?
I want to thank my family, my friends. I want to thank you guys and you guys, Ginsberg, Larry, and all you guys have put together the series and things like that. I like coming out each season and trying to compete. It's really fun.
Well, it's a lot of fun watching it, and tonight you put on a beautiful display of how to win a tight race when it all comes down to it. So congrats, Josh. Go and enjoy this one and celebrate. You've got the points lead after one round. We'll see how it goes in a couple of weeks.
All right, thank you.
All right, there you go. Josh Soto, our winner in the pro category and overall tonight. Tell you what, Larry, I've got a few of our AM category drivers. Why don't we bring in Edgar Sancinelli, who finished second tonight in AM?
Edgar Sancinelli with us. And Edgar, boy, we had the camera on you quite a bit tonight as you had a lot of battles going on. Walk me through a few of those. I think there was one with Steve Daniel. You were mixing it up with Bobby for a while. And then at the end, I think there were three of you chasing that out between yourselves and Jeff Cranston. Tell me a little bit about it from your vantage point.
Oh, it was pretty crazy. I wasn't really sure what to expect tonight, but I always know have a good race with Steve Daniel and Jeffrey Cranston. He's always got good pace, so it's a lot of fun. Mixing it up with those guys and always being worried about what pack is going to catch us or if we can get up ahead. So, just a lot of fun battling with those guys.
Did you guys know that there was a post-race penalty to be assessed to Bobby Childs?
Well, I did, but I forgot about it. So, and I don't remember how far up he finished, but I know he was definitely moving, and I remember he had that penalty when he went by because he was definitely in a hurry.
Yeah, he ended up about 12 seconds in front of you guys. I think he was going to be able to serve that penalty, and it's going to keep the same order. But I just wonder at what point in the race do you try to remember, wait a second, was that a 5 or was it a 10-second? How far behind am I? Do you start doing that, or you just race the guy next to you and enjoy the fight?
Oh, I wasn't able to think that much about it because I knew he was far ahead, and I was just trying to stick with the guys that were around me. And really, I pitted a little earlier than I thought I would, so I had that concern as well.
Sure. But a tough battle. It looked like as you guys started winding down laps, you and Steve are battling, and suddenly Jeffrey Cranston makes a three-way battle out of this. Did he have that pace, or did he catch you guys because you guys were fighting so much?
Usually he has that pace, so I figured he would walk away. So I was just trying everything I could to hang on to them. And at the same time, being worried about the fuel, I was just trying to see when would be a good opportunity. And really, I thought I did it too early. So, and I did because they got back around. So.
Yeah, but fantastic race the whole night. Again, just watching you guys mix it up here was a lot of fun. And pretty much as we see every week here in this Classic Sprint series in Ricmotech, always a lot of fun to watch you and your Frito Sport teammates out there having a good time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thanks to those guys as well for putting in the practice.
All right, there you go. Edgar Sancinelli finishing second tonight in AM in his number 57 Frito Sport Racing Mazda MX-5. So let's go now, Larry, and if I can get Edgar out of the room here. I'm going to try it. Gosh, one of these days I'm going to make that work. Anyway, tell you what, let's bring in, we'll let Edgar sit in and listen to the interview with Bobby. We're going to bring in Bobby Childs, our winner tonight in the.
All right. Don't know where Greg just went. Let me pull Bobby in here. 1 second. All right. I think I've got Bobby Childs, winner of the AM category tonight here. Bobby, let's start with the bad. We'll get to the good. Talk me through your incident there going into one early in the race.
I just ran out of talent. I saw the 56 of Nathan Nicholson get off in the grass and get a little goofy, and I started paying a little more attention to him than I should have, and not where I was actually heading on the track, and just ended up clobbering him. And I want to send an apology to him. I know that kind of messed his race up a little bit, and it definitely put me way behind the 8 ball. I don't know if you guys saw the drive I made through the field to try to get back ahead of the AM drivers, but it was nuts. Probably the hardest I've driven in a long time. And again, man, huge apology to Nathan. That was definitely not intentional. I just lost focus.
Yeah, we know it's definitely not characteristic of you, and I think Nate was able to continue and keep his race going. You were as well. So you mentioned about that drive coming back through the field. You had to get around. Steve Daniel, run Edgar Sancinelli. You had Greg Mack running in the pro category. You had to get around. But as you got close to getting around Jeffrey Cranston, you came in for an early pit stop. Walk me through that decision.
Well, I wasn't in draft with anyone, so I kind of had a pack of guys. I had gotten past Greg, but Greg was still pretty quick, so I just made the decision that I didn't want to risk getting back in a pack and racing Greg some more. And I didn't have any draft, and I was, ticking off, a 10th here, 10th there on Jeffrey. So I said, let me go ahead and go in and get my lefts. And that way, towards the end of the race, they'll be kind of synchronized with the rights a little better, because they do make the car a little goofy for a few laps. And I didn't want the car goofy on low fuel either. So just, made the call, go ahead and come in early, driving clean air, and hope for the best.
Well, it seemed to work out pretty well as that race progressed. I didn't quite see what happened there on Jeffrey's pit stop, but as they all cycled through, you found yourself up in the front. Now you had that penalty that you still had to do a post race serving of. Were you watching that gap and making sure it was more than 5 seconds?
Oh, you better believe it. Dave had a problem early, David Payton, so he stayed in our TeamSpeak room to run as my crew chief, and he was keeping me apprised of that gap every lap. Who had taken over P2, where the gap was, and that's all I cared about. I was like, don't give me any lap times, just tell me that gap. It's got to be 5 seconds plus, or this is for nothing.
Yep. Yeah, it worked out well. You continue to push and got yourself a victory here in the opening round of the AM class. So, Bobby, who do you want to thank?
First and foremost, Skull Sim Gear, the coming on board, and we've got some beautiful paints for Chris Marshall, Proforma, Elite Texas Graphics, as always, our buddy Chris Thorman, helping keep the team going. I want to say a big welcome aboard to Brennan Horan, who's joining us this season in the number 45 Skull Sim Gear D2D racing machine. And I want to thank all the AM drivers, because that was a lot of fun getting back through that field. And they raced me hard, but they raced me clean. Got a little close with Mike Taylor a couple times, but there was never any contact. And, man, it was a ton of fun. I think we got a great AM class, and it was really exciting racing with those guys. So I want to thank them, and, of course, thank the league putting this on, and thank you guys for the work you do in the broadcast booth.
Well, thanks, Bobby. Appreciate the kind words. And yeah, you guys have got yourself a fun team there. Good bunch of guys in that AM class. It's going to be a fun battle every weekend through the rest of this season. So for you, you get to go off and celebrate, sing a victory song, as they say, and enjoy this one. Your AM category winner tonight, Bobby Twiles. Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, guys.
I don't even want to hear what his victory song is, Larry. I'm kind of scared to ask.
I wasn't going to give him a chance to sing it.
No, definitely don't. All right. Well, thanks so much to Bobby Childs, our AM category winner tonight. And Larry, why don't we start to wrap things up here and go over what we have coming up. But first, before we do, if you like what you saw tonight, and that was an amazing finish there, both in the AM category and also in the pro category, please give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. And you can find out about all the great motorsports action that Apex Racing TV has for you. You can also find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Just search one word, Apex Racing TV. So let's take a look at what we've got coming up. And we're going to start off next week. Next Monday night is the return, after some time away, it's the return of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Those are GT4 drivers and also the TCR drivers. Going to have round number 1 at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. So you definitely don't want to miss that. By the way, registration is still open. If you want to come race with us here in the Sports Car Series, head on over to extrememotorsports99.com/road-series and sign up, and you can be in on the action next Monday night. Next, May 16th, that's 2 weeks from tonight, the Classic Sprint Series returns for round 2. We're going to be heading all the way across the big pond, and we're going to be going to Spa-Francorchamps, another huge course that should really show the advantages of these MX-5 platforms, and it always is great racing when we head over there, so you definitely don't want to miss that. And then a little bit in the future, go ahead and mark this down on your calendar. August 22nd will mark the return of the Ricmotech World Challenge. Going to be coming back for season number 5. Don't have the venue for you yet, but go ahead and mark it down. That's when our LMP2 and GT3 cars take to the track. It's going to be Monday night, August 22nd. So for Larry McLeod, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and of course, thanks to the great folks behind the scenes, Jonathan Grabowski and Dennis Branch. As I said, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next Monday night at Laguna Seca. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.